Okay. I'd like to call this village board meeting to order. This is Wednesday, September 24th. If we'll all stand, we'll have Trustee Yukich lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Present.
Trustee DeVivo?
Present.
Trustee Kajanis? Trustee Sabo?
Present.
Trustee Suisse?
Present.
Trustee Yukich?
Present.
Mayor Bailey?
Present. This would be D. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay. Okay, then tonight we have some presentations to make. This is the 13th year of the Community and Nature and Harmony Award ceremony. Tonight we gather to recognize those individuals and groups who have demonstrated a commitment to the environment and in the process have significantly contributed to the village of Homer Glen. So without further delay, Trustee Margaret Sabo will announce this year's award recipients. Go ahead, Margaret.
Greetings. It's wonderful to see all of you here this evening and for this very special occasion. I would like to start by saying welcome to the celebration of Homer Glen Landscape, which is held in the National Park. This important date is set aside to show support for recognizing and protecting significant areas in the natural environment. The village proclamation written for this special day in 2001 states, the village of Homer Glen was founded and incorporated in large part due to the desires of its citizens to preserve the unique and diverse components of the natural environment within the village and to take steps to assist in further protection and beautification of that environment. Through the efforts of the Environment Committee, the village created the Community Nature and Harmony Award in 2002. Now in 2014, the 13th year for awards, the village again recognizes individuals, businesses, community organizations, and governmental agencies that have demonstrated commitment to the environment and in the process significantly contributed to community projects through preservation, restoration, and/or beautification of the land within Homer Glen. Projects and nominations must have been completed by July 25th to meet the criteria. Another activity, the tree planting ceremony for Homer Glen Lands Day, has been scheduled to take place toward the end of October, when the large accolade elm is ready to be transplanted. The Homer Glen Environment Committee will be coordinating the planting of the tree at Stonebridge Park for the Parks and Recreation Committee. Rick Gomez, Homer Glen resident and owner of Instant Day Tree Planting, will be donating his services and demonstrating how a large tree is planted with modern equipment. At this time, during the awards recognition, we are pleased to have the assistance of our Homer Glen Mayor, Jim Bailey, who will help in presenting some certificates to individuals and groups. All members of the Environment Committee, please take your places. Please come forward. Cynthia Rattay, Kathy Cudlow, Sharon Sweet, Bob Moses, Brandy Shira, Jerry White, Advisor Jackie Weir, and Staff Liaison Sue Stylett. I would like to introduce Sue Stylett. The Environment Committee Staff Liaison Sue Stylett will announce the award recipients. Sue will also explain the procedure for taking individual photographs and group photographs. These photographs will be available for viewing on the Homer Glen website. The assistance of Sue Stylett is greatly appreciated in helping to coordinate the Community and Nature and Harmony Award process and presentation. Sue Stylett.
I don't think it's on.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
How about now?
No.
Now? There we go.
On
Okay.
before? Excellent. It wasn't on before?
We heard you. We're good.
On behalf of the Community and Nature and Harmony Award Committee, Once again, I would like to say it's been a pleasure to review the nominations and observe the various projects of these recipients. We have 15 awards this year, and to help move things along, we ask that you come forward as I read your name, proceed to the mayor to receive your certificate and have your picture taken, and then return to your seat. And please be sure to stay for a group picture, which will be taken in the front here shortly after all the awards have been presented. Individuals, businesses, and organizations may qualify for an award. We would like to recognize the following businesses for demonstrating their commitment to the environment. Garden Patch Farms, for demonstrating sustainable business practices by supplying their locally grown farm produce to area residents. And unfortunately, they're not able to come tonight. M&D Farms, for providing an enchanting garden oasis, including a water fountain, live plant arrangements, hanging floral baskets, and landscaped area in and around the family food court at this year's Homer Community Festival. Accepting the award for M&D Farms are Mark and Donna Walsh.
Congratulations.
We have many organizations that work together to make wonderful things happen in our community. The first three we have worked together on a very special project. Homer Township, for creating an opportunity for children to enjoy the outdoors while reading a story on Central Park's new Story Walk Trail. Accepting the award for Homer Township is Lindsay Soa. Homer Township Public Library, for creating an opportunity for children to enjoy the outdoors while reading a story on Central Park's new Story Walk Trail. Accepting the award for Homer Township Public Library, Sherry Kozalaha, Jody Oliveri, Mike Oliveri, and Joe Oliveri. Homer Glen Foundation, for creating an opportunity for children to enjoy the outdoors while reading a story on Central Park's new Story Walk Trail, and for providing support to the development of the Erin Hills Park. Accepting the award for the Homer Glen Foundation, Kurt Hines, Sherry Kozalaha, Tammy O'Brien, Jody Oliveri, Lindsay Soa, Laurel Ward, and Matt Ziska. They all work together so well. William E. Young School, for demonstrating the many benefits of renewable solar energy by installing a 1.5 kilowatt solar panel system and educating the public through a Solarbration event. Accepting the award for William E. Young School is Karen Norville. Okay, before we recognize the final organization, I would like to recognize an individual. Ryan O'Connor, for developing an Eagle Scout project and organizing volunteers to build and install 3 raised garden beds and a Purple Martin house at Shady Oaks Camp. And Boy Scout Troop 50 for their efforts in assisting Ryan O'Connor with his Eagle Scout project of building and installing 3 raised garden beds and a Purple Martin house at the Shady Oaks camp. The scouts that assisted Ryan are Tyler Clough, Mike Covelli, David Krishak, Nicholas Lindblad, Carson Richter, Dylan O'Malley, Braden Russell, and Trey York, and Scoutmaster Tracy Clough.
Thank you, guys.
And now on to our individuals. Joe Edwards, for planting trees, clearing fallen trees, installing an owl box along with other bird houses, and caring for the grounds at Shady Oaks Camp. Tom Selke, for planting trees, maintaining gardens, cutting grass, and beautifying the grounds at Shady Oaks Camp. This next grouping gives recognition to individuals and their properties within Homer Glen. The following award recipients will receive a sign to be placed on the property which is being recognized. When I call your name, please stand and come forward, and while I read your award and acknowledgement, you're going to shake your hand and shake hands with the mayor and take a picture, receive your certificate, and then step over to Sharon and she will give you a sign for your yard. Christine Barbalak, for creating a beautiful shade garden combining a wide variety of perennials, flowers, grasses, evergreens, and deciduous trees on her property. She's not here. Okay, I guess she didn't make it. Okay, Philip and Nancy Kasiba, for demonstrating how perennials and ground covers can be used to provide a grass-free landscape that complements the colors and design of their home. Meg O'Malley, for creating a tranquil environment featuring a large variety of ferns and hostas, showcasing varied textures and shades of green, dotted with spots of floral color on her property. Okay, Meg's not here. Jeff and Maureen Partinsky, for creating a beautiful floral display featuring an attractive curved brick retaining wall with large groupings of flowering perennials and an arbor filled with climbing roses. Dennis and Mary Ellen Weber, for creating a tranquil environment and a wildlife habitat with a mixture of large trees and shrubs, a charming vegetable garden, and a koi pond that blends seamlessly into the landscape. Let's give all the award winners a round of applause. Thank you all for attending this evening and showing your support for this important Homer Glen event. Mayor Daley and Village Trustees, thank you for your support. Environment Committee, thank you for your assistance in coordinating the presentations. And now I would like to remind everyone to stay for a photograph. We will have three group pictures. There's a little sticker on the back of your frame certificate that tells you what group you're in. And then I'm going to call you up and call you up in your group and we'll take a picture. But before we take the group photos, Mayor Daley, may we have a recess to take some time for the pictures? Sure. Okay. All right. So I'll call the first group up, and that's Mark Walsh, Donna Walsh, Karen Norville, Joe Edwards, Tom Selke, Dennis Weber, Trustee Sabo, Mayor Daley, Gary White. Yeah, we will. And then in the meantime, if anyone wants to look, there's pictures in the back, and there's a few little refreshments.
I just texted him again to remind him to get here by 7:30.
Maybe if you scoot down. Move this up. Okay, for group 2, Lindsay Soa, Sherry Kozel-Laha, Jody Oliveri, Kurt Hines, Tammy O'Brien, Laurel Ward, Matt Ziska, Trustee Swees.
Well deserved. Do a great job. You guys do a great job. Well deserved. How you doing? Is it just racking up those prizes?
We're running out of wall space.
Oh, well, you needed another one this time. Yeah, well, you should. You should.
Okay, group 3, Nancy and Philip Kosiba, Maureen Partinsky, Cynthia Rattay, and
Oh, did he say something might have been? How did they do that? Why would they do that? Who did that? Okay, well, a letter needs to go to those residents, and you know what? We need to put an ordinance in, and we fine anyone who messes.
How are the cookies? Okay, everybody, we're going to call this meeting back to order. The presentation of the Community and Nature and Harmony Awards is over with. Very nice presentation, Margaret.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all your folks.
Thank you, and thank you, Environment Committee.
Okay, then the next portion of this meeting would be F, which is approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of June 24, 2014 meeting?
So,
First by Trustee Sabo, second by Trustee Costa. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be G. Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the period of August 28th through September 25th, 2014?
So moved.
First by Trustee Costa,
Second.
second by Trustee Yukich. Is there any discussion?
I have a question.
Go right ahead.
It's to Mr. Sawyers. On the treasurer's report, the CIP bond fund, it's towards the end. It shows 15,503. But then when you look at the CIP, I'm not sure if it's the same one, CIP bond fund on the accounts payable, it's shown 23.
Could you be
Okay, look at
more
the.
specific? You're looking at the balance sheet within the
The
treasurer's
accounts
report?
payable period from August 28th through September 25th, the last page. It says CIP bond fund,
Yes.
23,212.
212.66? Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. Because see, what's confusing is when you entitle both the same thing. You have CIP bond and
Well-
CIP bond. One is in the cash and investments and the other is in the accounts payable.
Well, this schedule of accounts payable, it runs from the end of, part of August through 2/3 of September, whereas in the treasurer's report is strictly the month of August, so you won't find a direct correlation there.
Is that,
Oh, okay.
you have any other questions, trustee Suisse?
No.
Mayor,
Go ahead, trustee Yukich.
I have a question for Cam. Two things on the payables. They have in here, page 4, both of them are on the same page. There's something on there for a copier for $436. Do we lease this or do we own it?
We actually released some, and we own one. Don't we own one at this point? In the back?
The one that was repositioned from back here for the substation we own, but the
Right.
other units are leased.
Are leased, and
And-
we've always leased them, I think.
And I prefer to buy, but leasing is, for copiers is unfortunately the way to go, because the maintenance agreements spike up about 3 years into the contract to the point where if you owned it, you can't get out of it. The cost per page quadruples or even goes up greater than that in the third year of the lease. So it's a way of not having the machine own you.
Okay. Then the other question I had was for the codification, paying $3,057. Do we have any idea when that's going to be done?
I hope it's going to be done towards the end of this year, beginning of next. I know the Administration and Finance Committee has asked for monthly reports now. They got one last week, and they're going to get reports from Heather each month going forward.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, let the record show that the village attorney, Mark Stirk, just arrived. Glad you could make it.
Well, I was told that you'd be starting a little later than this.
All right.
Never. No misleading. Never.
Wasn't you, it was someone else.
Okay, well, we have a first and a second on the approval of the minutes. Are there any further questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Pastor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's see here now. That was G. That was schedule of accounts payable, approval of minutes is already done. Okay. All right, the next portion of this meeting is reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. Upcoming events, Homer Community Expo. The annual Community Expo will take place on Saturday, September 27th at the Hadley Middle School. Additional information on this free event can be found on the Homer Township Chamber of Commerce website at www.homerchamber.com. Household Hazardous Waste and Electronic Recycling Event. As many of you know, the Village Household Hazardous Waste Event and Electronic Recycling Event will be held on Saturday, October 4th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Homer Junior High School parking lot. A flyer listing the items that will not be accepted can be accessed through the village's website at www.homerglenil.org. Under permit revenue for August of 2014, everything's looking good. During the month of August, the village's building permit fee revenue totaled $38,675.02. This was the highest August building permit total in 7 years, and yet another good example of the growth and improvements happening to Homer Glen. In addition, the contractor revenue for August totaled $3,005. Total permit and contract revenue to date in 2014 is $327,602.06. There were a total of 128 permits issued by the building department in August. To date, there have been a total of 728 permits issued so far in 2014, which is 111 more permits compared to last year at this very time. Okay, talking about bell tower office condos. The village is continuing our good fortune in attracting corporate office tenants to our community. Meridian Investment has purchased the entire 6,700 square foot office condo at 15780 and 15786 Bell Road in the Bell Tower Office Condos development. The partners at Meridian Investment provide home dialysis services on a nationwide basis. Meridian currently operates from several smaller scattered office locations. The Bell Tower Office Condo Building in Homer Glen will serve 3 functions for Meridian Investment: a consolidated office location for its corporate headquarters, corporate operations, a training center for patients using home dialysis, and a clinic for patients having home dialysis services. Meridian Investment's new headquarters in Homer Glen will employ about 10 corporate employees and 3 doctors. As part of their new corporate headquarters plan, Meridian Investment will invest $300,000 and take about 3 to 4 months to build out the office condo building. The building department has already approved the build-out plans, and the building permit can be issued as soon as the contractor and trades have registered with the village. Both buildings at the Bell Tower Office Condo Complex will be fully occupied when Meridian Investment opens its new corporate headquarters training clinic. The good news continues in Homer Glen. And that concludes the mayor's report. How about we start down with Trustee Costa?
No report tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. How about you, Trustee Yukich?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 2 things. The safety and public service meeting for next Wednesday will be canceled. We will set it up for the first week in November. And the second thing is, it's getting to leaf burning season, so everyone has to come in and get the permit before they can do anything. That's my report, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Yukich. Trustee Sabo?
Yes, thank you. Reporting for the Environment Committee, the first topic would be Homer Glen Lands Day, and this evening, the Homer Glen Lands Day Community Nature and Harmony Award ceremony took place. Congratulations to the 15 recipients who, with their talent and determination, help beautify, conserve, and preserve properties in the Homer Glen community. The Homer Glen website will have photographs of all the recipients. The Homer Glen Lands Day tree planting will take place at the end of October at Stonebridge Park, and the Environment Committee is coordinating this activity with the Parks and Recreation Committee. Next topic is the Homer Glen Tree Replacement Program. Responses from residents regarding replacement of trees in the public parkways are very positive. As of this date, more than 50 residents have returned their applications for fall tree planting. Next topic is stargazing in the fall. And we wish you to attend the stargazing event on October 17th from 8 to 10 p.m. at the Homer Township's Trentina Farm. To date, over 2,000 people have visited the farm to experience the beauty of the stars at night. And during the fall event, constellations and celestial views will be highlighted thanks to amateur astronomers from Kankakee Area Stargazers, Naperville Astronomical Association, and the Southwest Astronomy Observers Group. These groups will have their large telescopes for viewing, which is free. We'll see Cassiopeia, Andromeda Galaxy M31, and the Great Square of Pegasus, as well as the Milky Way. That ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sabo. Trustee Suisse?
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting for the Homer Harvest Days Committee, our follow-up and recap meeting is not until late next week, so I will have updates available for the next board meeting. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Suisse. Trustee K. Janis did call in. He was not feeling well. He's not here tonight. Trustee DeVivo?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a very quick report. I was in Wisconsin today in Sheboygan and visited a park. It's on the University of Wisconsin campus. It's called Bookworm Gardens, and it is absolutely, unbelievably fantastic. I would encourage the board members to take a look at the website, and I'm going to pass this stuff down. but it's a storybook telling, and like Hansel and Gretel, and they would, have books in the corner, they have seating areas for the kids. It's just a stunning place, just absolutely stunning, and it's on a couple of acres. So it's very doable if anyone was interested in adding these types of things to the list of things that's going on for the parks. And I want to make one more comment. Well, first, our next park meeting is the 29th of September. It was moved a week later. But I want to make a comment about some of the traffic patterns that have changed, and because I live on the western end of town, I've noticed it. Obviously, if you're driven down Lamont Road going south, it's closed. It's been very confusing for people trying to figure out which direction they want to go in. But I want to say that the roads that people are using are getting really busy, so be careful, drive slower. You're driving down side streets in some cases, not on a main thoroughfare, so please slow down. That's my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee DeVivo. Let's see, or does the treasurer have a report?
Yes, Mayor, I have the treasurer's report of cash and investments at August 31st, 2014. It's the fourth month of this fiscal year. It shows the general fund with cash and investment balances of $4,662,032.08. The motor fuel tax fund had a cash and investment balance of $2,382,055.08. The park fund had a cash and investment balance of $2,316,136.08. The debt service fund had a balance of $889,418.82. And the capital project funds had a total cash and investment balance of $21,858,728.11. Within that balance is the capital improvement project bond fund, which had a balance of $15,499,236.02. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, John. Does the clerk have a report?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The last day to register to vote for the November 4th general election is Tuesday, October 7th. We can do that here at the Village Hall, Monday through Friday during our regular office hours. Following the close of registration would be October 8th. That begins a grace period registration where you can register and vote at any one of the permanent polling stations. I believe there's 3 of them, and that information can be found on the Will County Clerk's website. That's my report.
Thank you. Does the village attorney have a report?
No report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
How about any task force chairpersons? Okay. How about any public safety officials? You're next up. Get ready.
Thank you. I just wanted to give a brief update. George and Steve Kitchen talked about the leaf burning permit. We've kind of changed our policies for the leaf burning permit application process. Currently, what we're doing is taking the application in and reviewing the property, going to Google Earth, seeing if they got the distances of 50 foot from property line and structures, evaluating the property, and at that time, if I can see that they have the room to do it, I'll issue the permit. If it's denied and they don't have the ability to keep those distances, I call the resident, explain to them that they don't comply with the permit and the regulations. And the response from the people I've denied has been pretty positive. I also informed them they could have New Way pick it up, and now at Village Hall we have these stickers they can put on their garbage cans. We have a bunch of them here, and give them the ability to come pick those up as well. So it seems to be working well. It's denied quite a few this year, and it seems to be working out pretty well.
Great. Okay, thanks, Joe, for that update. I believe the highway supervisor wanted to say something?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mike, why don't you go up to the podium?
Sure.
Oh, I see why you didn't want to go up there.
As you know, we have 3 major projects in and around, construction projects in and around Homer Glen that is having a pretty profound impact on the traffic as it travels through our community. I'll try to update you on all 3 of them as best I can. You know that more often than not, construction season is summer. Here we are in the first week of fall, and we're still well into our project. I'm relatively confident that all 3 projects would have been completed at this time had we had some cooperation from the other. The first project is 151st and Parker. The big hang up with that one, as well as all of the other 2 projects, is the utility, the relocation of the utilities and the easements. You all know that we've had a lot of rain this year, and that certainly has held back on any progress. Many of you may remember August with brown grass in your backyard. That didn't happen this year. Our grass is green because it's been raining all August long. This, of course, causes great delays in any construction of any project, especially outdoors in the moving earth. Utilities were held up for a couple of reasons. Again, because the utility companies were delayed. They said we had 50 rain days this construction season. That held us up. But with some of the major storms we've had this year, when you have a utility trying to relocate some of the items in the right-of-way, if there's a storm or there's any outages anywhere, they're immediately pulled off these projects and put out into the areas where they have to reestablish service. Because if they don't do that, they get sued. So once we have storms, the first priority is that. So not only do they lose the days of the weather, but they're also pulled off. So that's the main reason that's causing delays. Now that we've had those delays and everybody's behind, scheduling has kind of been more difficult to keep up with. But again, 151st in Parker, we still are very confident that the footprint, the asphalt, the road will be completed this year. There's still a good chance we can get the traffic schedules up. This week, the underground drainage has all been completed, and all of the crosscuts in the road have been patched with patching, and now we're waiting for the PT Carroll to get in there and start the widening process of the road. Again, we're confident that the road will be finished this year, that the signals will be up, although I'm pretty sure that the final grading and all the landscaping will be done next year. It's almost the same exact thing with 143rd and Lamont Road. What complicates that one is the southbound Lamont Road through that intersection is completely blocked, and now traffic is being rerouted. Again, further complicating that is the fact that Gallagher Road is still under construction and through the Lockport project there, and that's being held up as well. I met with PT Farrow on Monday to make sure that we have some scheduling, that we're next on the list to bring these people in to start working on our asphalt. I met with Lockport this morning to discuss opening up of Gallagher Road to see if we can get that open. I have to go and meet now with Will County to see again if we can open up Gallagher Road to help the detours and delays there. It's very complicated, and I apologize for that. But we're relatively confident that this will be done this year, and next year when they start on 159th Street and all that traffic comes into our community, we'll be glad to start through this. It'll help us move it much better. Any questions on that?
I can't think of any unless somebody has a question for Mike. Okay, Mike.
One other thing, after many months of struggling with our website, it's up and running today. So as of today, the Homer Township Road District website is up and running.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Does are there any other public safety officials? Mark, you got anything? Okay. The village manager, do you have a report?
Thank you, Mayor. Real quick. Attorney Services has notified us this week that they've scheduled the open house, the public open house that they told us they would do, and they wanted me to share it with the public, and the mayor and board will have a flyer invitation in my weekly report to you. So on Saturday, October 4th, from 3 to 7 p.m. at 17633 Crystal Lake Drive, Trinity would like to invite the public and the mayor and the village board, obviously, to come to their first home within the corporate boundaries of the village of Homer Glen and meet the 2 young gentlemen that are currently living at the house. And there's going to be hors d'oeuvres and refreshments served, and they kindly request that no gifts be brought. So that, again, is Saturday, October 4th from 3 to 7 p.m. So that's the same day as our hazardous waste drop-off. So drop off some stuff later in the hazardous waste drop-off and then go over to the open house. In my report again this week, the board will see a budget schedule that's been established for fiscal year 2014-15, or excuse me, 15-16. So please look for that. I know it seems like we just finished a budget, and now we're going to be starting a new one. The first date on that budget development is in December, so it's right around the corner. The mayor mentioned just real briefly a little bit about this Saturday's expo. There'll be staff at the expo setting up. Staff will also be, working the booth, and then staff will be setting up the booth this Friday night. We're going to be handing out Made in America Frisbees with a brochure that highlights all the wonderful amenities at Erin Hills Park, which is the village's newest park. And so to get people to maybe take their Frisbees and go over to one of our parks and enjoy a game of catch. And so that will be this Saturday. Of course, anyone who'd like to stop by, happy to have you there. If you'd like to stick around and help us work the booth for a while, that would be great. So look forward to seeing people on Saturday. Also, Trustee Sabo mentioned just real briefly a little bit about the tree replacement program that the board's approved and that staff is working on. It's great that we've had such a good response to it. I just wanted to take this opportunity, since Commissioner DeVivo is here, to thank him and his staff. We can only replace the trees once they've been taken down, and as the board and the public knows, we have hundreds and hundreds of trees that are waiting to be taken down because we've really been affected by this ash borer disease. So this week, Mike's crews have been working in Farmview, Kingston Hills, and the Golden Oak, Old Oak subdivisions, and there's a lot of trees in those subdivisions to remove, and they're just kind of plowing their way through the list of trees to remove, and I want to thank them for the great job that they're doing. Finally, to end on a really good note, tomorrow is the scheduled opening day for Advance Auto Parts. I had an opportunity to walk through and tour the store today, and it's loaded with a lot of good things for people to buy. So I really encourage everyone to get out and take advantage of Homer Glen's newest business. So, Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Oh, and then Mike wants to update you on a detention pond issue that the township and Mike have been dealing with over the last couple weeks.
Go right ahead, Mike.
In the Meadowview West subdivision, the adjacent subdivisions, we got some complaints about flooding issues and whatnot. So during our inspection process, one of the things we did look at was the Meadowview West detention pond. The water level was significantly high on that detention pond. It was basically up to the top of it. The Homer Township Highway Department did try to jet out the outlet. They were unsuccessful. They tried clearing it out with probes. They were unsuccessful. Ultimately, it had to be pumped down. When we did pump it down, it was found that the outlet was intentionally plugged with concrete. This is obviously a significant safety issue, as the wet bottom ponds typically have a 2 foot below the water surface, the normal water elevation, there's a 10-foot safety ledge. So if anybody falls into that pond, they can at least recover and get out. Well, obviously, with the water level 6 feet higher than the normal water level, that safety ledge was now 8 feet below the water. And then the center of the pond was even another 5 feet deeper than that. So in some of our inspections while we were doing this, we noticed, the school buses, there's a lot of kids in that area, so that was a significant safety issue. Obviously, it was another drainage issue as well because it wasn't functioning properly. And potentially, if the berms surrounding the pond got saturated too much, they could have began to fail too. So this is something we're going to have to continually monitor and
So tell them the cement was removed.
yeah, the highway department did remove the flare down section. Ultimately, that's going to have to be replaced. So you're looking at approximately a $500 to $700 cost just for the flare down section, let alone the equipment and the Homer Township Highway Department's time to do this as well.
Okay, I think for, to educate the public, it should be on the website, tampering with culverts, overflows, restrictors, anything along those lines. The village is going to adopt an ordinance a significant fine because of the safety issue involved in it. And we'll work on an ordinance that puts an attached dollar value to that fine. If you can get it up on the website, though, to start out, that'd be great. Okay, let's see here. Anything else, Mike?
No, that's my.
Okay, then the next portion of this meeting will be public comment. Joe? Thank you. Okay, first speaker would be John Coy. If you'll step up to the microphone, tell us name and address for the record.
John Coy, 12056 Venetian Way. Mr. Mayor, I found a copy of this, and I was wondering if it'd be all right if I read it.
I don't even know what it says.
All right. After witnessing the last board meeting as an attendant on behalf of the football organization, I can tell you why I'm now greatly disturbed. While we were there to support the football organization, we witnessed an outrageous attack on an elderly gentleman. Guess who? By the mayor himself. This verbal whipping has left me questioning our alliance we have with the mayor as well as his ability to adequately serve the people of this community. The outrage we witnessed was indicative of a small child who appeared annoyed with the situation on hand. Certainly not a good representative of what and how public officials should behave. And while his actions certainly were not representative of the whole group, we believe it is the place of the board members to address and discipline this barbarism. It is not okay for any human being to behave as he did and I tell you, should that have been my father up there, accosted by the mayor, I would have taken the mayor outside myself and given him a good ass whooping. Shame on those of you who support him and undoubtedly behaves like a child. If this action with this man is indicative of his ability to lead, then we are in trouble of football mom. That's all I have to say, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, John. Thank you. Everybody has an opinion. Okay, the next speaker would be Matt Dill.
Matt Dill, president of Beecham and Dill Homes. Looking forward to coming here in town and taking over the Cedarbrook subdivisions and building some new homes here. And here to answer any questions that you guys have from a couple weeks ago meeting.
Okay, I see you're on the legislation a little bit later here, so if we have any questions, we'll get you back up there.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Matt. The final speaker will be Lynn McGarry.
Hello, Lynn McGarry, 14104 Garibaldi, Orland Park, Homer Glen. And I'm here for the chamber just to invite you one last time. We have a big weekend coming up. Friday night is Night Under the Stars. The Neverly Brothers are playing at Broken Arrow Golf Club at 6 o'clock. So please come out and join us. The weather's going to be gorgeous. You shouldn't pass it up. And then Saturday morning, like Mr. Cammett said, as our community expo and health fair at Hadley School, 9 to 2. Please come out and see all your neighbors, and then there is a health fair there. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Okay, that closes public comment. The next items on the agenda are legislation and action items. This would be J1. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-056, a text amendment to ordinance number 08-048 entitled The Village of Homer Glen Zoning Ordinance, amending the definitions, the table of permitted and special uses in non-residential districts, and the general provisions to permit and control the use of donation drop-off facilities as recommended by the Plan Commission?
So moved.
First by trustee DeVivo.
I second.
Second by trustee Swees. Is there any discussion?
I have a concern.
Go ahead.
On page 3 of the table 2A, where we are going to permit it in a P1 So these donation boxes, am I understanding that it can be in front of the highway department, in front of the library? I don't think we should have it permitted in a P1.
Well, in the event, or how do you say this? Like right now, for instance, Mike has a drop-off location for electronic drop-off
Right,
materials.
and just about all the schools currently and have for years had drop-off locations. The schools have drop-off recycling donation containers on
Okay,
their
well,
properties.
is there a difference like between these boxes? Or these, these boxes versus,
We would treat
dropping
the,
it.
we would treat the drop-off recycling boxes at the schools the same as these, the
As the
donation
others.
containers, yeah. The good thing about that is that they're not, we looked at the schools and there's not too many at the schools, so they won't have to pull any away. So they're in, and they've had them for a number of years. We've seen them when we do the electronic drop-off stuff at the junior high and stuff. They're sitting right there. There's two of them. They've been there for a couple of years. So we haven't experienced any problem with them. Actually, they tend to put them in places that are visible but yet hidden a little bit. Of course, Mike's is all the way in the back. It's more of a shed, but it's not visible to the public at all. So I think the public properties have actually probably been the most responsible in terms of shielding from other uses in the community.
Okay, does that answer your question, Trustee Suisse? Trustee Sabo, go ahead.
On page 2, it says that at the bottom, the number of donation drop-off facilities to 3 facilities per zoning lot. So I'd just like to have that explained. Does that mean each zoning lot, like each store, could have 3?
Well, in many instances, like the Kmart property is an example. I think that's just one, isn't it just one lot? Right. So in some instances where you have a single user, you're dealing with just one lot. And that would mean that you could only have that many on that whole big lot, which is substantial, very large. And then in other instances, you could have a situation like the Homertown Square. Is that one too? Normally Erin's sitting over here, but we ran out of room for her today, so.
The main building is one lot, with the Jewel and the Advanced Auto, and then where the Jimmy John's and the Travel, that's a separate lot, but there's only 2 lots in that.
So a lot of time with these larger developments, you're dealing with a very limited number of lots, which is a good thing. So then you can control it just by 3 instead of having 3, 3, and 3. So
Okay.
it's actually more problematic on smaller lots than on the larger commercial lots. But in most of the shopping center situations, you have, one owner, a shopping center, whether it's Orland Oak with the bank, or the gentleman who owned Homer Town Square, or the Kmart. You have one owner and typically on one lot for the most part.
Okay, I think that explains it. So
Yep.
that within a strip mall, that's the one lot. That's
Right.
one big lot.
Right.
Okay, and many stores, so they only have 3.
Right, and even in a condo situation, like we have a couple, as you guys know, we have a couple strip malls that are developed in a condo. It's still one lot, it's just the condo association owns that one lot, so then they would be limited. There couldn't be 3 containers for each individual condo user, so.
Okay, I had one more question.
Okay, go ahead.
And it pertains to Helping Hands. I guess there was an attempt at communicating with no answers. So, and if that's the case at this time, what's the next step with a group that does not respond?
Well, Erin's usually pretty good in the end, finding the people that we need to find. I think this time we tried to go above and beyond on the public notification side this time. So even though it isn't required, Erin notified the businesses that the containers exist on, and she tried to reach out to the people that actually have the containers. So we'll, obviously, if the board approves this tonight, the onus to ensure that there's only 3 per zoning lot is really the businesses. So today, the only problem lot that staff is aware of would be, or challenge lot, is the Home Depot lot. There'll have to be 1 or 2 containers removed from the Home Depot lot. So village staff will go probably meet with the manager of Home Depot and have a conversation with her and explain to her the new ordinance, and then it will be Home Depot's responsibility to make sure that they comply. So they'll ultimately have to be the ones that make the contact and decide. Now, they're in a good place there, because I think that they have one user that has multiple containers. So they might be able to still keep all of the users on the property, just have them remove one container.
Okay, does that answer your question, Trustee Sabo?
Well, in a way, I mean, so you're saying that in the case of Helping Hands, if there is no response from them, then it's the business owner's responsibility to
It's the
do
parcel,
something
whoever
about it?
owns the parcel, so in this case, it would be Home Depot, it'd be their responsibility to contact them and schedule the removals. Because we don't want to be, we're not gonna make the decision about who they want on their property, they're gonna make that decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's just that Helping Hands doesn't know anything about this at this time, or what happened?
They might be the one that stays, or, you know, I don't know, that'll be up to Home Depot.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other questions?
No.
Trustee Yukich?
I just have one, Mayor. There's a few times you go by some of these donation boxes and they got bags and bags sitting outside the box.
Right.
Is it something that we have to make the phone call, or are they supposed to do this weekly?
Right, well, the great thing about this now is, in many instances, you know, there was a time there where they were just kind of multiplying, they were showing up just out of the blue, and even the property owners didn't know that they were on their property. That happened a couple times over the course of this past year. Now, we're gonna contact them all, they'll have to be registered with us, so we'll have all their contact information, have a number that they'll actually respond to. And if we ever if John Robinson or myself, or if you guys, anybody that notices stuff, if you let probably John or Aaron know, then we'll be in contact with them that day and ask them to solve the problem. The trouble with the stacking of the outside is, you know, I've stopped a couple times and attempted to put stuff in just to resolve it, but it's full, so you can't fit it in. So, well, at least we'll have the contact information, which in many instances we don't have now.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J2. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 14-006, a resolution authorizing the presentation of a draft for payment of the entire $241,236.95 balance pursuant to the irrevocable letter of credit, LOC number 312-028-338-202, issued by First Midwest Bank on behalf of the Hunt Club Meadows LLC for the benefit of the Village of Homer Glen to secure completion of public improvements in the Hunt Club Meadows subdivision, Homer Glen, Illinois.
I so
Once-
move. Oh.
There's just a little bit more. Once the LOC deposit is made with the village, I direct the village manager to utilize LOC funds to complete the public improvements and to reimburse the village for any outstanding professional service bills related to this subdivision.
I so move.
First by Trustee Suisse,
Second.
second by Trustee DeVivo. Discussion. Why don't you're the attorney for the applicant? Okay. Why don't we get a little background on this? Mike, you want to handle this?
If the board recalls, in early 2013, the developer did approach the village with 3 variance requests. One of those was to complete the public improvements prior to the typical 85% build-out. The second one was to reduce the warranty period from the subdivision ordinance from 2 years to 1 year. And the third was to replace the letter of credit with a new letter of credit. Initially, they were looking for a letter of credit that did not have the auto-renew feature. The village board did approve the moving forward with the build-out level, or moving forward immediately. They also approved the reduction of the warranty period from 2 years to 1 year, but the board did not approve the replacement of the letter of credit without the auto-renew feature. In July of 2013, Village, Township, HR Green representatives performed an inspection of the subdivision. Shortly after, a punch list was provided to the developer. This was approximately on the beginning of August of 2013. At the end of August 2013, the developer provided a letter to the village stating that he had a testing firm recommending one of the options, or to use heater scarification to complete the roads. They were stating that this was the preferred option. Both village staff, again, shortly after that, village staff Highway Department staff, including Mike DeVivo, HR Green staff, reviewed the recommendations from SECO, performed a on-site inspection of the subdivision, walked it to look at that. Our recommendation was that this is not a viable method to complete the roads. It wouldn't repair the defects in the binder sufficient. It would be a temporary fix, and the defects would shortly return. And basically, this would not provide a long-term repair of the roads. Following that, or in conjunction with that, about that same time period, cores were performed on the roads in the subdivision, and it was found that the binder course was actually a half-inch short. In the response to the SECO letter, we also included in that letter that the developer had to bump up the surface of the final surface thickness a half-inch to account for that difference in pavement. Shortly after that, we were notified by the developer, for whatever reasons, his contractor had decided not to perform the work for him. He had requested a list of contractors from the village. So we did provide a list of contractors who bid on the paving program for the developer. At that point, we hadn't heard from the developer throughout the end of that year. At the beginning, basically in February of this year, the developer contacted us and wanted to move forward again. He was asking for a final punch list. We stated we had to wait until the weather cleared so that we can do an inspection. He did not want to wait. He said he wasn't, and at that point, wasn't talking about the roads. He wanted the final punch list for other items, which we weren't quite sure of. But we, again, insisted that we had to wait to do an inspection of the roads, obviously because they had gone through another winter. So once the weather finally cleared in April 30th, we performed a new inspection of the subdivision. And on May 14th, we provided a complete punch list to the developer, to his attorney, basically everybody involved. Shortly after that point, the developer was sending emails to the village, and there was conversation back and forth. He did not agree with the punch list. There were various items that he did not agree with, he did not want to perform. Basically, what we had done is, after that went on for a couple months, we had a meeting on July 30th with pretty much everybody involved, including a representative from the homeowners association, the developer, his attorney. Basically, we went through each item, and the whole purpose was to clarify what was in the punch list. There was a couple of things that maybe the way they were worded, like I said, we clarified them. There were a couple issues. One issue was with the driveways. There's 4 driveways in the subdivision that basically when they were installed at the same elevation as the binder course. So obviously with the surface installed on top of that, they're going to be short. During that conversation in that meeting, the village did agree that we would go ahead and pay for the grinding for those 4 driveways only. Ultimately, the consensus of that meeting basically was that the certain work that we would do, the developer's attorney would put together a summary, distribute that would ultimately be added as an addendum to the punch list. Before we got the addendum from the village or the developer's attorney, the developer was stating that there was certain work, changing some of the things that, disagreeing with things that we had already kind of discussed in that meeting. He was stating that there was certain work that he did not want to warranty, even though the village already reduced the warranty period from 2 years to 1 year. There were certain things, like I said, that he did not want to warranty. It is necessary to have at least some kind of a warranty because it does guarantee that the process does take place in a proper manner, and make sure that there's at least some kind of a, something that holds the developer to that work. That went back and forth for quite a bit. Obviously, staff, we are trying to explain, this is our position. We basically are following what the board had recommended, reducing the warranty to the 1 year period. Some of the options that the developer included was he said in one conversation or email, stated that per one of his contractors that it would be better to reduce the surface thickness by a ½ inch, that would actually work out better. So this has gone on for quite some time. In the interim, finally, we did talk, since we're getting close to the end of the construction season again, if If these improvements do not get constructed this year, they're going to go through another winter. It is more than likely that they will deteriorate even further. They had already deteriorated from the 2013 to the 2014 inspections. We did, like I said, in the interim, we talked to the contractor who was performing the work in the village for the 2014 roadway program, and the same contractor that completed the 4 non-LLC subdivisions. We asked him if he would be willing to complete the work with those same dollar amounts, and he agreed that he would. He also stated that he would warranty the work for 1 year. Again, we're basically saving, we would potentially be saving by the economies of scale. We can do it for the amount, assuming that no more additional defects are found. We do believe that we can finish the subdivision for the amount of the letter of credit. If we do let this go for another year, the costs for the pavement have already gone up. Basically, from what this contractor bid to what typical other contractors are bidding, we're already seeing an estimated $25,000 increase just for other projects that have bid in other areas this year. So, like I said, if the project doesn't get completed this year, the potential that the cost will go up is most likely, and there is a strong potential that the cost will go beyond the letter of credit amount that the village currently holds. Like I said, we do believe that this would be the best way to complete it. We have made all attempts to work with the developer to try to get him to complete it. We've requested numerous times for schedules to complete the work, for contractor information. He has stated that he does not want to warranty the work repeatedly. So in the interim, to try to get the roads completed for the residents of the subdivision who have contacted the village and are requesting that they get done as quickly as possible. We also have several homes that are under construction. Obviously, their driveways are kind of on a hold until we determine exactly what, where the surface level is going to be. So they're kind of waiting with their driveways as well too. So there's a lot of things that are kind of on hold and aren't moving forward. Like I said, we have made numerous attempts to try to work things out, try to get things moving forward, and they just have not occurred.
Okay, before I let the applicant's attorney speak, I just want to say something. The problem with this is not having a final lift on and just having a binder on. The binder is only there for a temporary period of time. Once that binder starts cracking up, or basically cracking up, water gets inside the cracks that gets in the sub base, the stone base, and eventually the road pumps. And you're looking at a situation that if that happens, you're tearing the sub base out on top of the bad asphalt. So this has to be done. There is no question it has to be done. So now you had a couple statements that you made to me prior to the meeting. If you'd like to address the board, go right ahead.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to address the board. My name is Robert Hugulite. I'm the attorney for the developer, Hunt Club Meadows LLC. Vince Bianco, the principal of the companies here. The developer agrees 100% that this has to get done, and it has to get done this year, and it has to get done correctly. The developer has been pressing the village since last summer for a final punch list of all items so that he can comprehensively look at them all and attack them and complete them. In May, Mike is correct, a list was given to the developer from the village, and we've been dialoguing with the village ever since then to clarify what needs to be done. There's no question on the scarcification. The developer is not contesting that it should be done that way. There's no question regarding the binder course depth, the binder course depth. Those are non-issues. Those are red herrings. What the holdup has been from a construction standpoint is whether or not, or how to address with the paving the areas where the paving meets the existing driveways. As Mike mentioned, there are existing driveways that are currently at level at the existing pavement, and when you put the additional binder course on, the pavement becomes higher. What that does is it causes a deterioration problem. And so what the dialogue has been of late is how to address that. The developer is not responsible for that because he didn't put in the driveways, and we've been trying to work out how to get around that. I was very surprised yesterday to find out that this was even on the agenda, because we've been in dialogue and correspondence with the village attorney to work this out. The letter of credit is not expiring, so there's no urgency because that would be expiring. And the letter of credit requires the village to make some kind of a statement that there was a failure or some kind of default on the part of the developer, and there's not. We would like to continue the dialogue that we started and finish it so this gets done this year. Where it stands now is the village needs to see the bids that the village says they've received for the paving so that he can see what is the scope of the work that the village is going to do and what's the cost. So I really don't see any issue. It's a very drastic step to take to draw and call this letter of credit. It's unnecessary. It's not expiring, and the developer is not in default. He wants to see the work done. He has the wherewithal to get it done this year. Some of the homeowners are here. He wants to get it done so that the village can accept the streets and start taking care of it for the people. The developer wants to get this done as soon as possible.
See, our position here, or at least my position, is that no matter how you shake or dance, this has been going on since last year. This was supposed to be done last year, and all of a sudden, it sounds to me like it's some village's fault. It's the village's fault that he doesn't have punch lists. We've been working with this gentleman since it was supposed to be done last year. Now we're staring down the barrel of the asphalt plant's closing here shortly, and we're hearing you need additional punch lists, you need this, you need that. I mean, I don't see it getting done. I mean, we've had the village attorney at these meetings, you've been at these meetings, Mike's been at these meetings, H.R. Green's been at these meetings, and it's getting awfully expensive to keep kicking the can down the road without putting the final lift on the street.
We're ready to put the lifts on the street.
Okay, so
we're not kicking it down. We're not kicking it down the road at all. We've been aggressively trying to get the list and get the final specifications from the village.
Okay, the village attorney would like to say something.
You know, we had at least one meeting that I attended, and then we've had innumerable emails, telephone conversations, and then the correspondence today. And I had informed the developer's attorney that the contractor who's out doing work for the township is willing to step up to the plate and do the work, and will warrant the work. We'll guarantee the work, correct?
Correct.
Including this whole issue about the driveways. And it said that they would do that. And I asked you for a letter, and you're getting a letter from the contractor.
We provided that
extra. Off. But quite frankly, the problem is, I see it is exactly what the mayor has pointed out, and that's the fact that the season's ending, and it doesn't appear that this is going to get done. So my recommendation to the board is, if you want it done, you want to guarantee that it's done this year, is that you pass the resolution with the understanding that we won't make the demand on a letter of credit if you can get this resolved in the next couple of days. But you don't want to be coming back here 2 weeks from now, because all you're going to do is lose 2 weeks of the construction season, which is fast drawing to a close.
Which I don't have a problem with. The developer is stating that he's going to do it, and he's going to be back in here within a couple days with when it's going to happen, what firm he hired, and the whole 9 yards. I don't have a problem with that. But I can't go another season and then have the base go bad on it. And the people that are living in there, I've driven through there. There's some bad spots in there.
The developer understands that.
Actually, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt that, but I believe that the developer said that they don't have a problem with the current contractor doing the work. It makes all the sense in the world. They've got the men here, and they've got the equipment here to do the work, and they're willing to warrant the work, provide the 1-year warranty that your client would otherwise have,
so,
including the taking it down. But quite frankly, and I don't like to speak for elected officials, but this just keeps going around and around and around. And what's going to happen if you don't do this is that next spring we're going to be right back where we are now.
So what the developers asked for is a copy of the bid that the village has from P.T. Farrell, so that we can respond.
And I sent you the engineer's estimate, which is all that we have right now. and what we need is a letter from the contractor.
I've already emailed that to you last week.
Right, but what you sent to me was what they would send. It's
No,
got to be on their letterhead and signed, and I don't have that
Oh,
document.
I did email that letter that they signed. I can email it to you again.
Yeah, I don't have that document.
But they have agreed to those costs, and they have agreed to the warranty.
Okay, so, Mike, they're not objecting to doing it. We're gonna get this thing done. How would we go about putting any teeth in this thing to get it done?
Well, just pass the ordinance, pass the resolution, so it's done now. We get this resolved the next couple of days, then there's no need to draw on the letter of credit, and if it's not resolved, then you can just move forward with that. So we're not back here 2 weeks from now revisiting this, rehashing the same issue.
To me, that makes sense. We passed the ordinance, we don't have you perform the way you just stated you're going to perform. We don't have to pull the letter of credit.
Yeah, we just need the information that was suggested on the costs from the contractor so that we can understand what the scope is and what the costs are.
Well, that was in the engineer's estimate that I sent you last week. And tomorrow
Well,
morning, we'll have the letter from the contractor.
Okay. Well, then, what we'll do, go ahead, Trustee.
Just a
DeVito.
quick question. PT Farrell is in agreement that they will bill the developer?
No,
how?
the village would pay them.
The agreement was if we pulled the letter of
If
credit.
we pulled the letter of credit.
Okay, but if PT Farrell does the work for the developer and we don't pull the letter of credit, who's?
PT Fair will have to make a decision if they're willing to bill.
That's
No,
what I wanted to
the
know.
developer will
So-
pay. The developer.
He will, huh?
The developer will pay without the need to draw the letter of credit. Where we are is we just need to see the costs and the bids.
All right.
So
That's fine, and I don't have a problem.
That's where we've been discussing.
Yeah, we could talk about it all day. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so you want to say we're in agreement then? You feel that the developer can act on this quickly if you get the documents that you were looking for?
Yes.
And I would think as a asphalt contractor, any contractor, as long as somebody's going to pay them, I would think they would give the same guarantee to the developers they would to us.
Well,
I can't speak for them, though.
Yeah, I think one thing too, Mike, sort of along the lines of what you're saying, is if we pass this ordinance and they don't do it, we can pull the letter of credit then.
Right.
We
Correct.
don't intend to pull it.
Correct.
We're trying to give the developer the opportunity to do what his attorney is saying he can do. And we're gonna get it done though before the asphalt plant's closed. And you're in the building business, you know, it's right around the corner here and it's based upon weather, you know?
And do you agree with these terms that we're speaking about?
Yes, we have to see, all we want is, where we've been, we just want to see the quote.
Yeah, that's
You'll
fine.
get it. You'll get it.
So, I mean, a week,
You'll have it tomorrow. You'll have it tomorrow, okay?
and then we'll, very good.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'm hearing you have sent it already, right?
No, what we sent was the engineer's estimate.
Oh, the
There
estimate,
was a
okay.
draft letter that was prepared that was sent to me saying, is this sufficient? I said, yes, it was. We need that on the contractor's letterhead and to send to Mike and
Okay.
or to Bob so that we can get the showing out here.
Okay, perfect. Does anybody have any additional questions?
Mayor, just one thing real quick. One of the things that could be done that would show good faith too is that there is past due bills to the village that haven't been paid. We're a couple months past due on bills, thousands of dollars of bills. So the developer could make good on paying those bills this week. That would be good.
Yeah, well, if you'd pay those bills, those past due bills, as you're working on getting the asphalt plant to get out there and put the final lift on, that would help. But we're gonna, my recommendation is we pass the ordinance. We can always lean back on the ordinance. We don't have to, but it's gonna be done this year.
We have a chance it's going to be done this year.
Okay, great. Okay.
There, just one final comment. Oh, I'm sorry, trustee.
Go ahead, trustee Sweets.
No, I was just saying if you're going to pass the motion as is, maybe you should just put a time frame saying that by the end of the year or something like that.
Oh, no, it's
So-
going to
or-
be, this
Has
is
to-
all
well,
has to be wrapped up in the
this
next couple of
season.
days.
Yeah,
Right,
okay,
yeah,
right.
this week.
The
Okay.
asphalt plants, they normally close, what do you think, guys, like Thanksgiving-ish, based upon weather? Yeah. So this has to happen like.
In reality, it should be just 1 week.
Okay.
It's going to come in tomorrow, and we're going to have to read it and look at it
Okay.
and respond.
Okay.
So Mayor, one final thing, real quick, I'm sorry. But when we were thinking that we would pull the letter of credit, I wasn't at all worried about this because I knew that we could take the past due bills out of the letter of credit and, things. One of the parts of that would be is that we probably would have recommended, of course, hiring HR Green to do the inspections on the road installation because, of course, they have to be inspected, right? So just so everybody knows, there will be additional professional service bills related to either HR Green or some other,
we get
okay, and those bills will have to be paid too.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, but
All right.
you also have somebody that's stating that they're going to warranty it.
Right.
If he uses the contractor, he's going to get the best price from
Right,
it.
right.
Because he's taking advantage of economy of scale, which I believe you'll end up using this firm. They've already stated that they would warranty for the year.
What we've been discussing is the village would hire the firm, and the developer would pay for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Got that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
Okay.
So that the warranty runs to the village and not to the developer. Correct.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Any further discussion?
So this is the personnel association.
Sure, go right ahead.
Sorry. So my name is Carol Lindy. I live in the Hunt Club Meadows subdivision. I have a few neighbors and colleagues here. I'm the president of the board, the Homeowners Association board, along with some of these other people. So we've been following this very closely. We obviously are very close to the issue. As you mentioned and Mike mentioned, the roads are deteriorating quickly. There's safety hazards. There's all kind of issues in the roads. The other thing I'd just like to mention for those of you who haven't been as close to this, for 6 years now, the residents have been paying taxes, obviously, to the village for the road maintenance. And we have also had to pay private snow plowing services. So we're paying approximately $18,000 a year, sometimes more depending on weather, to plow 1 mile of roadway. So we're getting very anxious to get these roads completed, and I've been told by the village that once they're paved, the village will take over the snow plowing. So that's one thing that we're greatly anticipating, to remove that cost in addition to the safety issues. So I would just like some clarification, because as you mentioned, this has been going on for quite a long time, and I think there still appears to be a little bit of ambiguity about what the actions are.
I think I can explain it very clearly to you. The intention of this board, if I'm reading it correctly, is we're going to pass the original ordinance that gives us the ability to pull the letter of credit. We're going to give him a reasonable period of time, but not to exceed the close of the asphalt plants this year to get this done. And if it doesn't get done, or if it appears that it isn't going to get done, we're going to pull the letter of credit. We're going to do it ourselves.
I understand that, and thank you for that, though. But what I want to understand is who is sending the bid to Bob Hughley? Is that Michael? And will that happen tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning.
Okay. And then who is going to contract PT Farrell? Is it the developer or is it the village?
The village.
Okay. And then
Because
the
we
developer
can
will
always
pay.
get our money through this ordinance that's going to pass.
Right.
By cashing the letter, pulling the letter of
Understand.
credit.
Okay,
So
I just
he'll-
wanted to make sure that the village is going to contract the contractor, and it will be built to the village standards of the construction then?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee Gazebo?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. You'll have your stuff tomorrow. Okay, let's see here. This would be J3. Is there a motion to approve a development agreement between the Village of Homer Glen and Teton Development LLC regarding the Beecham and Dill Homes proposal to finish the development of the Cedar Brook Estate subdivision in Homer Glen pending attorney review?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
I second.
second by trustee Sweez. Is there any discussion?
Oh, yeah.
Trustee Costa?
Mr. Mayor, I have a few questions. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn. Trustee Sabo actually made some recommendations or suggestions at our last meeting about the light fixtures, and we've got a answer back from the developer on the cost of that, and at this time, he feels that he can't afford the expenditure. Now, my next question then is to the village. I believe our village manager, Davis, can answer these questions.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Or
with
you
the
can,
letter
Mayor.
of credit.
We have the letter of credit, correct?
Right.
And we can use the money that's there for the street lighting, am I correct in saying that?
Unless the attorney tells me I'm wrong, yes.
Right, you can use the letter of credit to fix the streetlights.
Okay, so if we have that, we could do that on our own then?
Right, you have a little bit over $60,000 left in the letter of credit that we pulled back in 2013.
Okay, and the budget number I
And-
believe we have is about 48,000?
Well, that's the budget number that the developer put forward. We would hope to do it for less. But, you know, the thing about the letter of credit is back when there were so many public improvements to finish, of course, we thought maybe there'd be higher priorities maybe than the lighting. But now that Beecham and Dill will step in and do the lion's share of all those public improvements, you're going to have this $60,000 that you can use for lighting. And if you know, because what happens is after a certain period of time, if there's no other public improvements to spend that money on, then we have to return that money to the bank. So best we use it to fix things in the subdivision. And all this letter of credit money, of course, comes from the developer that has lost the subdivision now.
So Mayor, can we get a consensus of the board then, if they would have a problem or not a problem with using the money from the letter of credit, and then that'll solve the issue with the lighting?
Yeah, I think everybody's pretty consistent that we're asking the whole community to go to cutoff lenses, and this is just another subdivision that we do have the money to do it, so why not do it?
And Trustee Costa, we would, I think, you and I spoke briefly about this, we would just seek to incorporate this into our 2014 neighborhood change-out program that we intend to do this winter, so.
Okay, are there any further questions?
Yes, I have more questions, but can we put this statement and amend the motion and add it to it so that it is something similar to adding to the motion? It is understood that the village will be responsible for fixing the streetlights in the subdivision with money from the LOC that the village pulled in 2013. I would like to add that to the motion.
That's fine. Is fixing the right word, though, because we're really doing.
Close enough, everybody knows what.
Yeah, okay. All right, who was the first on that motion?
Trustee Costa.
Trustee Costa,
Yes, amend the
would you like
motion.
to change the motion to reflect Trustee Sweez's recommendation?
Yes, I will.
Okay, and who was the second on it?
Trustee Sweez.
Trustee Sweez, you were the second on it. Are you changing your second to reflect what you just stated and was first by Mike Costa?
Yes.
Amending the motion.
Yes.
Amending the motion, okay. Okay, with that being said, is there any further discussion?
Mayor,
Trustee
one final comment real quick.
Hold
I'm
on
sorry.
one second. Trustee
No,
Sabo?
I'll let the manager go.
Okay.
Real quick, I just wanted to make sure it's very clear, because I know you had a number of paper items in front of you tonight at the start of the meeting. So the motion where it talks about per village attorney review, that was because we thought, you know, right at the very end, there's sometimes one or two things that pops up. So on the agreement dated September 24th that was in front of you tonight, there were two very small changes, one on page 6 and one on page 7. And neither of those, they're both very minor changes, and they don't affect the village and Beecham and Dill's like development negotiated understanding or anything. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. Two small changes.
Trustee Sabo?
Okay, I have a few questions. And one is the agreement says that it goes with the land. So what is the advantage or disadvantage? Please explain this situation.
Well, what it means is that this agreement is going to be recorded, so it affects it controls the development of all the property. So if the developer was to sell a lot, and that's addressed specifically in the agreement, whoever buys that lot is subject to the same restrictions as the developer.
Okay. Okay. To the same restrictions, but you're talking about residents buying? A resident
No,
buying.
anybody. So if they decide they're going to sell the lot, they're going to sell a lot to another developer to build a house. Those restrictions, this agreement doesn't deal with what happens with the property after an occupancy permit is issued and someone moves in. It addresses what happens to the property while it's under development.
Okay, does it mean that developer then would get a credit? The developer wouldn't get the credit that the Beecham and Dill would get?
Yes, yeah, the same benefits would inure to that developer. But they can't sell the lot, they can't sell any lot to anyone else without your approval, and it's, well, actually, your approval, but without the village's approval, which the village can withhold at its sole discretion.
Oh, okay, so lots 1 through 15, is the developer of Beecham and Dill responsible for, or can he sell any of those lots to another developer
You can't sell any of them without your approval.
without our approval?
Right.
Which you can withhold.
In your sole discretion. So you don't
Okay.
have to have it doesn't have to be what they call, won't be unreasonably withheld. You can withhold it for any reason at all, and you don't have to explain that.
Okay, my next question had to do with the Lomar. It says if the Lomar is not approved by FEMA, then permits should not be given. Is this the case? I'd like to know which lots they are. In the punch list, number 15 and 15.2, it says, the letter of map revision, Lomar, for the development. The Lomar, quote, the Lomar will help ensure that future lot owners do not need to carry flood insurance. The Village of Homer Glen does not guarantee the ability to build on any lots currently located within the floodplain should FEMA not approve the Lomar.
Right.
So explain if the Lomar is not approved, what will happen with these lots?
Well, I think
And I don't know how many there are.
Might I suggest that we let Beecham and Dill talk a little bit about the process they're going to go through. They have experience with this. So why don't you guys talk a little bit about the Lomar and working through the process. I don't think you have any concerns about that going forward, and then I can answer your question.
Right now, there currently exists, I'm sorry, I'm Scott Schreiner with Design Tech Engineering. Right now, there currently exists a floodplain on the property. That floodplain was submitted to FEMA, and a conditional letter map revision was received by the developer. So, once the conditional letter map revision is received, what that means is they've agreed to relocate the limits of the floodplain to a certain location, and that certain location is off of all of the buildable lots on the property. So FEMA has agreed to that. Now granted, that occurred 5-6 years ago. Typically what would happen is once that conditional letter map revision is issued, the project gets constructed, as-built drawings get put together, and as long as the project was built per the conditional letter map revision, the plans that they created the conditional letter map revisions from, then they go ahead and they issue the letter of map revision, which is the official letter, that then relocates the limits of the floodplain to the limits that were requested during the conditional letter. So what's happened is the conditional letter was issued, the plans were, the subdivision was constructed, as-built were completed, or partial as-built anyway were completed, but the final submittal was never made to FEMA. So at this point in time, what we're proposing to do is to finish that process. We're going to make the submittal to FEMA, we're going to ask them to remap it. There's absolutely no reason in my mind why FEMA would reject that. I've never had that happen in the past. It may require more work, it may require more modeling, it may require additional information being submitted, but I've never had that experience to where FEMA has come back and said, well, we've issued a conditional, but we're not going to issue a letter of map revision. So it's not a concern of ours. Now, having said that, the other thing that I think is important to note, the floodplain only actually touches on 3 lots in the existing condition. There's like 5 or 6 lots that it appears to get close to, and when they start to speak about providing insurance, flood insurance, the agencies that review that, if it's close, they mandate that there's flood insurance. Typically, if there's floodplain adjacent to or even on the back of a lot, you could still issue building permit, you could still build a home, it's just then subject to flood insurance. So the worst case scenario, which I don't think is going to happen or even think there's a slight chance of happening, is the floodplain never gets changed or altered. At which time, there's 3 homes that would most likely, if they went to a bank for a lender, be required to carry flood insurance.
Okay, will the potential buyer be aware of this, that he may have to get flood insurance?
I'm Vince Rosanova, attorney for Beecham and Dill. Lender requirements. As Scott mentioned, if for some reason FEMA didn't issue the final Lomar, the lender would require that they have the additional flood insurance, and the homeowner would be aware of it, because it comes with a premium.
So they would be made aware of
That's correct.
what they're getting into.
And they would have, the developer really would be obligated to disclose that to the people when they're buying the lot.
Okay, I just want clarification on this sentence that I found. It says, the Village of Homer Glen does not guarantee the ability to build on any lots currently located within the floodplain should FEMA not approve the low mark.
Very good. Mike, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, what we had, and that was, staff had added that comment, and what we were just trying to do is just to guarantee, make sure, just kind of a disclaimer stating that whether or not FEMA, if they did not approve the Clomar, and depending on where the location of the floodplain was, is, we're not going to definitely guarantee that you can build on those lots. So, just to protect the village.
Okay, does that answer your questions?
Okay, so that it releases us from the responsibility or blame.
Correct.
Okay. I'll save my other questions for later.
Unless somebody else, go ahead, Trustee DeVivo.
Just some clarification. In the new, page 6 and 7 of the new agreement,
right,
when it talks about village permit inspection, review, and impact fees, 131, the impact fees for the subdivision shall not be increased for a period of 5 years. Well, we're really talking about the village impact fees. We're not talking about library, school, because we can't control that.
We do. They're all controlled by village ordinance, actually. You set them.
Oh, so we
So
would make
they
sure.
don't, you don't benefit, well, you benefit from them as taxpayers. The village doesn't benefit from the money that goes to the school district. But you do establish it by ordinance. So what you're saying is that those fees, whether it's a park fee or a school impact fee, those are all going to remain the same for 5 years. Now, they have been the same for longer than 5 years.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't think there's any plan to look at those fees right now.
Okay.
So,
Okay, is there any other questions
Yes,
before we take a vote?
Wait, no. I'm sorry. It was, on page 10, number 13, the stormwater management and wetlands, and this is for Design Tech. On your August 20th memo, you had an entire paragraph about a 5-year monitoring plan and everything about the wetlands, and then we're not even addressing it here in the agreement. Design Tech has contacted the wetland consultant, and that was hired to obtain the wetland impact. It was the August 20th, it was on page 2. But then I was wondering why none of that was carried over into our agreement, into the village agreement.
Who are you directing that
what
question?
specifically? There's things in the punch list that deal with stormwater.
Okay, because there was nothing, there was nothing addressed in the agreement.
Yeah, in the attachment. There's a lot of things, the punch list is what, 3 or 4 pages? Yeah. So there's a lot of things in the punch list that we didn't want to club up the agreement with. So that's why it references improvements specified in the punch list.
Okay, does that
Is the punch list cover?
The punch list is incorporated into the agreement as an exhibit.
Okay.
Right, and it talks like in the punch list about burns and overseeding and things of that nature.
Okay, does it address, I was trying to look for it, does it address any type of landscaping on the perimeter? Because we were talking about fencing, and they were talking about trees planted inside. Is there anything on the perimeters, on the outside, on the streets?
I don't remember.
151st and
I
Cedar.
don't remember talking about that. No,
Okay, there's no punch list for that.
No, actually, we don't, our take on trees, of course, is that detention and trees don't grow together. So we don't want them anywhere close to the detention
Well, I
typically.
understand
but
that.
Yeah, yeah. But, no, there's.
Roadways, okay.
There's no requirement for, the trees, the only trees that are required to plant are the public parkway trees.
Okay.
We did put the language in there about the fencing, that's a requirement, as the board directed us to do.
I have another
Go
question,
ahead.
maybe towards Attorney Stirk. Maybe he can clarify on page 11 of the agreement where it says conflict with ordinances. I'm understanding that if we overlook something, that this agreement, if it conflicts with any of our laws, we are basically being asked not to abide by those laws?
Right.
That this
And
agreement...
that's not unusual in any type of a development agreement, because you have a contract with the developer that this is how they're gonna develop the property. So for example, the impact fees, they're the building permit fees. So if you raise the building permit fees, that can apply to everybody else.
But here-
except for somebody who has a development agreement, sure.
Because it'd be a conflict, so that's right, yeah.
Does that answer your questions?
Yes.
Okay.
For now. Mhm.
Well, go ahead now.
I think that's
This
it
is-
for the moment. Go ahead.
Go ahead, trustee
I had a
Sim.
question on trustee Sui's question. Because in the first design tech letter that we got, August 20th, it does say that they have to get a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. And in the second punch list, it really doesn't mention the Army Corps of Engineers. So are we saying that, yes, they have to get a permit for this wetland area?
Well, what we are, in the punch list, there are provisions in there that they need to make sure that they are, the plants are, I guess, established, that maintenance is going to be required. It may require burns, it may require cutting, it may require overseeding. We also have provisions in the punch list that if they are doing any work in these areas for the detention ponds, which are the naturalized areas as well, that any restoration needs to be location appropriate. So if it's in a wetland area, it needs to be an approved wetland mix. If it's obviously in a parkway, then it's just a standard seed mix, those sorts of things. So we are trying to include provisions in here to make sure that those areas are basically kind of brought up to a reasonable quality.
And it says a 5-year monitoring time, is that what it's going to happen to?
We did not include in the punch list a 5-year monitoring, no.
Okay, but the question that I had was the Army Corps of Engineers permit. Do we still require that because it says so?
No.
I don't know why we would do that. It's overkill, in my opinion.
Well,
It's overkill in the opinion, just, we can
You're gonna have the
handle it
lumber.
internally.
Okay.
I think you're probably thinking that would be a lot, that would offer you a lot more security than it actually would. You'll get probably more security just from village
it's
staff
not that.
doing it.
It just says that in one design tech, it says that an ACOE permit is required. It was never officially closed.
Yeah, you guys want to talk about that?
That first letter that you're referencing, I believe, was when we were still kind of in our due diligence period, and the Army Corps of Engineer, it turns out that the Army Corps of Engineer permit actually was issued. We got additional information from the original design engineers on the project. So the Army Corps of Engineers permit was issued. We have copies of their landscape plans now, their planting plans, and as Mike referenced, the different areas that we're going to regrade and reseed, we're going to follow those plans to ensure that the same types of plants, the appropriate types of plants in certain locations are met. So the Army Corps permit was issued, and the original planting, as best as we could tell so far, until we get into the project and mow and figure some more things out, do some burns as was suggested. We don't know exactly what's there, but from what we could tell so far, it appears that the right types of plants have been planted in the right locations.
Okay.
Okay. Does that answer your questions, trustee Sabo?
Well, it does, because it was conflicting. I mean, it was open-ended. Now you say that you checked and they did receive it.
It was received.
Okay. Are there any further questions?
Yeah.
I just have to
Oh,
ask-
go ahead, George.
Go ahead.
Hey, Cam? could you give
Yes,
me-
sir.
Could you get me these? I never got these in my packet.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Can I
questions?
ask one more question,
Go-
Mayor?
Go right ahead.
Do we need to incorporate some type of scheduling or a time frame as to when these improvements need to be finished or half done?
They're tied to the, to the issuance of the building permits, and I believe.
Well, I know
after-
it's 1 through 15.
Yeah, it's after the 15th, if it's not done, then they don't get any more building permits till it's all wrapped up.
So it could be any time frame.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Just one, are you done?
Go ahead.
Is
Trustee
it
DeVito.
possible to write in that perhaps like there's a 3-year monitoring with these wetland plantings? Because we know they're not always, maybe it doesn't need to be 5, but maybe 3.
Monitoring by who?
Well, would the village be able to do
Yeah,
something like that?
we intend to monitor. If you want to put,
Can
add
we
that
write,
in.
just maybe add that to it?
Yeah, that'd be a
Is there
great
something-
idea.
We wouldn't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Our goal, like I said last time, is to, one of the key things and the features of the subdivision is those ponds, and they're
Yeah.
atrocious right now, and we're not gonna sell a house the way they sit, so that's
Okay.
gonna be one of the first things that we take care of, is cleaning those up and making them what they should be.
Mayor, if I could just ask the village attorney, Mr. Stark, would it be okay just to add that into the motion? Do we actually have to have it in the agenda? Could it just be reflected in the motion? Is that-
Well, it's subject to final review by the attorney,
Okay, so we could add it in.
One of the things that we're gonna be adding in.
All right, very good.
Okay.
You said 3 years.
Is there any?
And don't forget my
Are
motion.
they gonna be discussing anything
My motion
tonight,
that you
or
wrote.
if we had a question, we could
Lights.
ask it now?
Yeah, if you have a question for them, sure.
Well, the only thing that I would like to know is, who sets up you are gonna have covenants for the subdivision? When covenants are set up, is it possible, thank you, that you could add 2 things to it? When we have a large snow here, and the highway department goes out to do the plowing, they have a very hard time when the mailboxes are, they do the brick ones, they do all the big ones right at the end. What if, I would like to see, I don't know about the rest of the board, but if you could make it a standard mailbox for everyone, they get the same one, and then if you're gonna do a park light, lantern out in front, same thing, and then just follow the guidelines because the owner in the end is gonna be the one that pays for it, but it just makes it aesthetically look so much better, and plus you're not putting any of his guys in peril by knocking something down and then the cost to the village. That's it.
Well, we can put that right in the agreement. If you tell me, just call me tomorrow, tell me what you want. Because then it's easier, because then the homeowners association's got to enforce it, and you know how that can go, as opposed to it being in the agreement, and then the developer can just say, hey, the village makes this, it has to be done like this.
Right.
That's the way, that's a condition of the agreement.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions?
One.
Go right ahead.
Okay. This would, I think, be a positive thing for this subdivision. And I'd like the developer to consider this idea. Lighting can be very annoying, especially if it's shining in someone else's bedroom. Or it's a very bright light and it's not shining where it's supposed to be, on what it's supposed to be. It's shining out there, up there. So when you're building, you give the potential buyers some choices. You give them choices. And you give them choices about the kind of light fixtures that they want, and so forth. So I would recommend that you include some dark sky friendly fixtures. Fixtures that would be downward shielded, that would be full cutoff, and that there are parts of the outdoor lighting ordinance that these residents would benefit from. And this could be featured as your, as part of your commercial appeal, as far as your advertising. Because more and more people have become aware of lighting and how annoying it can be, and disability glare and so forth, and light trespass. So I'm asking you, Mr. Dill, if you would consider that. Well,
Definitely consider that.
thank you. I'm sure that you would, I don't know if you want to say that these are, we have plenty of lights, examples that can be used, and even post lights, and we have proven that post lights can shine downward. And so if, there's so many ideas, and people have different, choices and opinions on lighting. But even a post light can shine down, and we've proven that if you go out into the back here, you will see those light fixtures, and that was one of our phases for retrofitting.
Okay.
I'm sure that you will probably have other choices too, but it would be nice if you would promote dark sky friendly lighting. And because of it, I think you would benefit and people would look to your subdivision in a different way. And that you are saving them money, that you are reducing light pollution and reducing energy consumption.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
I did have one, I'm sorry. It has to do with trees.
Go right ahead.
You used them all up.
It has to do with trees. I see that there's, that you're not going to plant the same kind of tree next to each other or so forth like that. How many trees are you figuring on?
A minimum of 2 per lot, and then the corner lots would have 4.
Okay. All right, and we are expanding our street tree list. We are expanding that. So I think that when it comes time to that type of planting, that we'd like you to be furnished with that information. Thank you.
One final thing, just to let you know, Matt and I have talked a little bit about this, and we're going to really try to set up the tree planting schedule in this subdivision so it can serve as a model. As you know, in a lot of the subdivisions that exist in the community, trees are very close together, which isn't good for the tree. And of course, we have too much of one kind. So in this case, we'll have between 60 and 70 trees. There won't be more than 10 of one species, and they'll be spaced so we can use this as a model going forward.
Okay. Thank you. And are you finished, Trustee Sabo?
Well, if you just give me just one more look.
Okay.
No, I think I'm fine, and we have an amended ordinance now, so I think we should read that ordinance so that we know what we're voting on.
I mean the motion, amended motion. Right.
Okay, so how does the motion read? I don't know.
It's a motion to approve the agreement as presented with the following additions. And then why doesn't everybody just call out the additions that they want in the agreement so there's no confusion?
Okay, go ahead. What are you referring to that
Trustee
needs to
Costa,
be?
you didn't have any
No,
additions?
I was
Trustee
starting with
Yukich?
Just the post lamps and the mailboxes.
Okay. Trustee Sabo didn't have any additions, just some requests? And at the other end?
Go ahead, Trustee.
3-year monitoring on the wetland planting.
Three-year monitoring.
On the wetland planting.
Right.
And then it's understood that the village will be responsible for fixing the streetlights in the subdivision from
Right.
our own LLC.
Right.
That won't go into the agreement, that'll just be, that's just an acknowledgement by the town.
Okay.
I did have one thing, and it had to do with the homeowners association, in addition to what Trustee Yukich had, and that would be that the homeowners would consider dark sky lighting and be provided with some examples. So
Okay.
if they're putting in their own lighting for some reason, like motion detectors and so forth, they can follow the ordinance. It's just that they should know and be aware of it as a choice.
Okay. All right, is there anything else? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J4. Is there a motion to approve the International Dark Sky Association 2014-15 membership dues in the amount of $250?
So moved.
First by Trustee Costa,
Second.
second by Trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J5. Is there a motion to authorize payment in the amount of $3,807 for curb work completed in Aaron Hills Unit 4D?
So moved.
First by Trustee DeVivo,
I second.
second by trustee Suisse. Is there any questions?
Mayor, I just have one question for the board. So this is the first time you voted on paying for an expenditure related to one of the non-LOCs. There obviously will be other expenditures. There'll be curb work in the other subdivisions you approved as well as road work. Would you prefer that all of these come to you individually, because there will be a number of them, or would you prefer that they're just on the account payables, since you've already given us direction to actually do it? You've already approved that. So which would you prefer, that they all come individually to you, or that they just appear on the account payables?
Well, because it's a monetary issue, I'll ask Mark that. Do they have to come individually or?
No. You've actually already given us.
As long as they vote on them, if they're on your bill list, that's fine.
Right, you've actually already given us direction. I just wondered if you wanted to deal with them all individually as they come, or if it's just, if they're on the account payables, if that's enough.
I don't have a problem having a list of them. Does anybody have a problem with that?
Just to put them on the bill list?
Yeah.
Well, that might be
Can we
overlooked.
do it under the consent?
Consent.
Just so we
We could
see
do them
that-
under
yeah,
consent.
do them
Very
under
good, thank you.
consent.
That's all I need. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, then we have a first and a second on J5. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead, trustee Sabo.
It says that, as the board knows, it was previously determined that work in non-LC subdivision be paid out of the village's bond fund. I'm not in agreement with that.
Where does it say that?
I don't think it should be. And when we determined
It's not-
what the bond would be used for, this was not one of them.
Yeah, trustee Salvo, just
not-
if I could just
That's why you're
interrupt.
saying it's not.
It actually isn't coming out of the bond fund. So that's a miss on my part.
It's what?
It's not coming out of the bond
Is that
fund.
coming out of the bond fund?
Where's it coming from?
It's coming out of a capital line item that you budgeted for. It's one line item that all the non-LOC expenditures are coming out of.
Is that
But
line
not-
item
not-
correct?
Not the bond capital fund.
Fund 70 is the capital project fund.
You know what? This gets confusing. Here I am again.
It is.
And you
I'm
agree.
Sorry for the mix-up on that, but that is a capital project fund expenditure, not a bond fund expenditure.
Right.
Okay, well,
The
can,
account number is correct.
Oh, that's what's,
Right.
well, can we correct the wording then?
We will.
Just
We
scratch
certainly
it
will.
out.
Yes.
Well, let's do it now then.
Well, we will. I'll do it electronically, and we'll put it in the file accordingly.
Okay. Does that satisfy your?
Okay, so that how should it read?
It's not part of the motion. You don't have to make any adjustments. I'll make adjustments on the supplement sheets for the files.
Well, I'd just like to know what to put down on my notes.
It's coming out of the capital fund. The account number is correct.
capital project fund?
Right.
Okay. Is there any further questions? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Okay, aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be J6. Is there a motion to approve the Village of Homer Glen's portion of the Northern Will County Water Agency legal expenses in the amount of $21,678.16?
So moved.
First by trustee DeVivo,
No, second.
second by trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be K. We have no more legislation and action items for tonight. Is there any old business? Okay, then is there any new business? Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by, who was it, Yukic?
Yes.
Trustee Yukic. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Motion carries, meeting adjourned.